Brian, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Christmas episode. I love it.
Can't believe it's week 16 and fantasy football is over.
It's not over yet.
It's over, Brian. It's over
Yeah,
for most.
there's 1 week left. This is the time of year you start deleting the app off your phone. It's kind of sad that you delete the app off your phone. It's over. Coming to an end. I'm kind of excited for it to come to an end, to be honest. I'm just this football. Like I've said it many times on this podcast. Football season it's not been the most fun. Although Bengals kind of came back a little bit, so they have something to play for around Christmas time, which is all you can ask for. So I guess I can't be too upset.
Yeah, it's definitely nice. I feel like I say this every week, but something weird happens every time we come on here, and it's not chalk. And
Yes.
I don't know if I just like kind of romanticize or think about past, maybe like do like Monday morning quarterback stuff, like past seasons, but this season's just getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, as a fan, it's been a fun season. Like I think, as a football fan in general, it's been a lot of good games.
I'm not saying weird is bad. I'm saying weird as in like just stuff just keeps happening.
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Hurts gets hurt yesterday, and recording this on Monday, by the way, before Christmas. I think Kenny Pickett comes in. They put up 36 points and
36.
lose.
They put up 33. They lost 36-33.
Yeah, whatever.
No, yeah, the Eagles game was the wacky game. And I think, speaking of fantasy and bets and everything, I think there's a lot of people who probably lost their fantasy matchups because Jalen Hurts wasn't playing, so like that, or got hurt in the first quarter, so that sucks. And then a lot of bets out there because he's got to be one of the most anytime touchdown picks every week. He's always like minus 120, minus 130. So that just hurts from a fantasy and gambling standpoint. But yeah, the game was weird. I didn't watch a ton of it, like all the game. I didn't watch a ton of it because I was obviously watching the Bengals game. Kenny Pickett comes in. The Eagles force 5 turnovers of the Commanders. And they still somehow lose the game. Like, it was, like, I didn't even know any of that happened. Like, I caught the last couple drives where Jane Daniels throws the interception, and then the Eagles get the ball back. They're driving down the field, and then Devonta Smith, another game where one of their star players drops a pass that costs them a loss. He catches that pass. The game's over. They can take knees, end the game. And then I saw Jane Daniels' last drive down the field, which, that they moved so easily to the Eagles defense. Yeah. Which is weird because the Eagles defense has been the number one defense in the NFL this entire year. So it was bizarre. And they did their job. I mean, they forced 5 turnovers, but they also, I don't get how you force 5 turnovers and give up 36 points. It's like,
I think it's part of like not having Hurts. You can't really manage the clock as much as you want. And then watching Kenny Pickett, he looked, every time he dropped back to pass, he just looked like
I wanted to ask you
scared to death.
I didn't watch like every snap. How did he look? Did he look?
He looked scared, but he was making good throws, but also like he'd had a bunch of 3 to 5 yard step backs, and right when he reached that last step, he would just jump forward because he felt like he had to get the ball out, which was fine, but it just looked like he was terrified. And I mean, I've never really watched him play that much, but he didn't look comfortable. I mean, it's a tough position to come out, cold as a backup, but he did his job. He made the last play. Just Devonta Smith didn't catch it. That's basically what it is. And you could be like, oh, how do you get 5 turnovers and still lose? I mean, the Commanders' offense is good. Like, that's it.
I think
and they're at home, and it's like just weird stuff happens.
The hardest thing to wrap my head around is the 5 turnovers and still getting up 36 points. Like, I don't know, how do you have that many possessions to score that many points if you force 5 turnovers?
Well, they couldn't, like, without Jalen Hurts, they can't really control the clock like they did against the
Steelers.
Against the Steelers, yeah. So that definitely hurts. So it's a lot on Jalen not being in the game. Yeah, it's on the defense, but also when you're playing a high-powered offense, you have to kind of go score by score with them. And if you're just kicking field goals and barely getting to cracking 50 yards for field goals, it's tough.
You also we had another Jake Elliott miss. He's I think he's 1 for 7 now on 50-plus yard field goals. He made one later in the game, but he was 0 for 6. I saw that.
I saw that stat right when he was about to kick it. I'm like, this is not good.
Yeah. And again, he's another one of those kickers who's been fantastic throughout his entire career. So it's just another one of those weird years for kickers that we've talked about before. But that was probably the game of the week from a just finish standpoint, like fireworks going off. It was huge for big for the Eagles because now it's going to be almost impossible for them to get the 1 seed, which they had a pretty decent path if they could have won out, because Minnesota has to play Detroit again and Green Bay. Like, they are all going to play each other again. So they had a pretty good shot at potentially getting the 1 seed. Obviously now I think it makes it a little bit more difficult. But then on the flip side, the Commanders, huge win for their playoff hopes. They were a team that they were sitting in the 7 seed. A lot going on around them, and this is one of those games I think a lot of people had counted for a loss for them in terms of their probability of getting in, and it was a huge win for them. It was a massive win. Commanders are going to, I would assume at this point, I need to look at the standings, but I think they're probably in the driver's seat for that last playoff spot in the NFC.
100%, and they knocked the Cowboys out. So.
Yeah, Cowboys out, which is hilarious. So you have 9 teams still alive in the NFC. So you have Detroit, Philly, obviously Minnesota, Green Bay, which are going to make it.
They already clinched.
The Packers actually haven't clinched yet, which is surprising.
No, I'm talking about the Lions and Eagles.
Yeah, Lions, Eagles, and Vikings have all clinched. You have Falcons at 8-7, who took over the division lead again with their win, and then the Buccaneers losing to the Cowboys.
That's wild.
Yeah, and then Seahawks still alive for technically the wild card too if the Commanders lose out, but still alive for the division with the Rams. So it's tight. It's definitely tight. It's tight. But I honestly, that win basically puts the Commanders in. Who do they have left? They have Falcons and Cowboys. That Falcons game will be big. But if they win one game, they're in. So huge win for the Commanders, especially with that tough. They finished Eagles, Falcons, Cowboys. They probably needed to win 2 out of 3, and the one they were least likely to win was the Eagles. So great win for them. Agree with you against Kenny Pickett. I think it's a completely different game if Jalen Hurts plays. It sucks.
No question.
Yeah.
No question. I mean, the whole time I was watching it, I was like, you can't really take much from this. They're still a top 3 team in the NFL.
Yeah.
If Lamar, Mahomes, Allen all went down, they'd be a lot worse than the Eagles.
Agreed. So, all right. So that was probably one of the biggest games of the week. I mean, it was kind of a weird week. Cowboys got eliminated, and then they beat. Go ahead.
Josh Allen got hurt.
Yeah, Josh Allen got hurt, but he said it was a stinger that I just don't. He seemed fine. But I think he hurt his MVP chances. He had a horrible game. Yeah. He played like shit.
And Lamar played well, so you never know.
Lamar played well. I think he's still, I was looking at it this morning, he's still like minus 400 to win the MVP. But from a stat perspective, I think it could change, though. If the Ravens win the division and win their last 2 games, and let's say Bills drop, they probably won't drop one of the next 2. They play the Patriots again and the Jets, I believe. Mm-hmm. So if I still think Lamar I think he has a good chance. You can't have those duds at the end of the season when it comes to this MVP voting.
I agree. Yeah. You have to get hot and get voters' attention.
I mean, 24-21 against the 3-12 Patriots. Yeah. And honestly, the Patriots handed it to him with that lateral backwards pass, the return for a touchdown. Like, they handed it to him. Let's see. What was Josh Allen's stat line? He was
like 1 for 1 and like 200 and something yards.
Yeah, let's see. I think he had an interception. He was 16 for 29.
Oh my God, yeah.
54 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception.
Damn.
That's just like compared to Lamar. I know he had, he had like 200 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Did you see what they were calling Josh Allen's interception too?
No.
The NFL on CBS, it was like 3rd and 15 from, I want to say they were on like the 45. So if they go 10 yards, they can attempt a field goal. Or, even if they go 5-6 yards, they can attempt a field goal because then it's 55, 56 yards. I know it's cold and tough to kick, but he threw a deep ball up into the end zone, like kind of a jump ball. They said Josh Allen with the perfectly placed arm punt was the tagline. Like, come on, like he threw a pick. You can easily go for 10 yards and kick a 50-yard field goal there instead of throwing it up to no one. And they got pinned on the one because the guy on the Patriots like took it out stupidly. Like, you know how DBs, when they catch picks, they all like just go down in the end zone, get the ball at the 20.
I mean, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Which is fine. But he like came out of the end zone and like got tackled on the one. And then on the post game, they displayed the stats for the quarterbacks. They had Drake May like 200 whatever yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And Josh Allen, they had, 150 yards, 1 touchdown. They left out his interception on the stat line, but they put in Drake May's. Like, it was like, it just feels like they are trying so hard to push.
It does,
like the Josh Allen narrative. So like, it just was funny. I was cracking up. Like, if they didn't put Drake Mays, it would have been fine. But they put Drake May's stats with his interception and left out Josh Allen's. It was just so funny.
But I mean, all of Josh Allen's interceptions have been like tip balls or, like things that haven't been his fault. And I Like, I don't think taking shots is a bad thing. I think if you're going to throw it up, especially when, it's kind of a play where like you need to make a play, like a Hail Mary or something. And I'm not saying that was a Hail Mary throw, but it kind of was. And then if it's third down and you're going to punt anyway from the position you're in, they're kind of right. But I understand your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's just funny. I was like, you're
especially
almost in
if you're
field
an
range.
anti-Josh Allen guy. Yeah.
And I'm not an anti. I love Josh Allen. I'm not an anti-Josh Allen guy. I just think it's funny. Like, I just thought it was hilarious.
You're an anti-anyone but Burrow guy.
That is not true. I'm anti-Mahomes is what I am. But
we know that. We know that. We saw all the things. Brian was on a mission sending us fake injury tweets about Mahomes during the game.
I just think it's funny, man. It's just, like I said it last week, it's the typical Mahomes ankle injury with a couple weeks left in the season right before the postseason, hobbling around, and then he's a full participant in practice and plays great. So, and then you see all the tweets, I can't believe he's doing this on a bad ankle. He's fine. Do you disagree?
I think the NFL has some things that you can't go and get from your local CVS or Walgreens.
Yes, I agree. That I agree with, yeah.
So, that's all I'll say. And adrenaline and competitor, it's going to happen.
The other game that I thought was interesting was those Panthers, man. Feisty.
So
knocked the Cardinals out of the playoffs. They're eliminated.
So I was talking to Aaron yesterday, and I think if you went back and listened to, I think week 3 of the pod, of our pod, I said that I think we have our team that you can bet against every week, and that was the Panthers. And then ever since I said that, they pull Bryce Young. Andy Dalton comes in, plays well. Andy Dalton gets in that car wreck, gets hurt. Bryce Young comes back. He starts playing better, starts covering, starts winning.
Yep. Me, for example, I took the Cardinals as my -4.5 last week. Lost. Yeah.
Well, I mean, must win for the Cardinals, and they stink.
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison stinks. Kyler stinks. Their defense stinks. They have one good player on that team.
And this is the prototypical Cardinals that we've seen, and we even talked about it earlier this year. Like, they're a fun one to bet on just because they were like plus 1,300 to win the division. They start out 1-3, but they looked good in a few of those losses. Like, they barely lost the Bills. They played the Lions tough. Then they won a little bit of a run, and now they've lost 4 or 5 to eliminate themselves from the playoffs. Like, they were in prime position to make the playoffs. And this is the Cardinals' downfall. Second half, like, they did it with Kingsbury for those couple years and Kyler. Like, there's just something with the end of the season. It's similar like the Chargers, I feel like, from years past, where they just kind of fall off at the end and they lose these games somehow. But I agree. Marvin Harrison had a few plays in overtime, just 50-50 jump balls on that first overtime drive. Just got beat. Like, he just got beat. Not great throws by Kyler by any means, but you got to come down with those. Yeah, if you're a top 4 or 5 pick, you need to make those plays. And that's what you're kind of touted as is kind of a AJ Greenish type of body and player. You got to come down with those plays. So it's just, he's really
supposed to be a good route, big guy.
Yep.
And he's bad at everything.
I think we both hate him for multiple
reasons.
He's
dead to me.
Yeah.
Fantasy.
I think he'll be a good player, but yeah, I think he's dead to
I broke my rule real quick. I broke my rule. I never draft rookies. I stay away from young players, especially on teams that you don't exactly know what their offense is. And with how everyone is talking about Marvin Harrison, I was like, you know what? Maybe this is the guy I break my rule on. I took him in every one of my leagues.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm never going to touch that guy. I don't care if he becomes the greatest receiver ever.
I mean, think about how differently, like, fantasy perspective, Marvin Harrison got drafted from even like Neighbors, who's kind of your 4th, 5th round, and a 3rd, 4th, 5th, depending on the draft. And then Brian Thomas Jr., who was like 12th round as first round wide receivers, and how different those teams probably are. Just because he's been the most disappointing of those receivers, obviously, because the other 2 are playing great. Those LSU receivers, they're bred differently, man. There's something about those
Brian
LSU
Thomas
receivers.
is insane.
But I did see this stat, and I just one more on the Panthers and Cardinals game. The haul that the Bears got for that trade, like that massive trade, Ryan Poles, like that whole thing. Panthers got Bryce Young. The Bears got Caleb Williams, DJ Moore, Donnell Wright, who's a tackle. He was a top 10 pick. Tyreek Stevenson, who I think he was like a 2nd-round corner. He's the guy with the Hail Mary who was number 20. And then Torrey Taylor, who's a punter. Punter's great. Like, he's a great punter, one of the best punters in the NFL. Panthers record 4-11. Bears record this year 4-11. So I just thought that was it. Like when I saw that this morning,
dude, the Bears stink.
The Bears
in the
stink.
off season, like I have a few things that we're gonna talk about since NFL is not going to go on, and we're gonna do our rankings, and it's not going to be not all good rankings. It's going to be bad rankings, and I guarantee you they're going to be in a lot of our bad rankings.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but man, the Bears.
It's the organization.
Stink.
I mean,
yeah,
you can your organization tells all it. Like when you're wondering, like, why does this happen to my team? Why does this always happen on my team? It's like the Bengals. It's like the Jets. Like if you haven't read the Browns, I mean, at least the Browns try. They do. They're just dumb.
They're not good. Yeah.
But like the dysfunction and like if you heard anything about the Jets the past week, like holy shit. Like I would, if I was a Jets fan and I heard that, like if that was happening in the Eagles organization, I'd be like, you know what, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to support a team when that like.
If you have a son, if your owner's son is in the locker room telling your players they suck, I'd be like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah,
these people are the best of the best.
Isn't he like 16 or 17 years old too?
17 years old.
Yeah, it's that whole story.
Plays tennis at Harvard.
Oh, does he?
His record is I've just heard this over shows. His record's 1-3 in singles and 0-3 in doubles. Work on your backhand, bro.
Don't worry about the batting ratings for players.
I mean, that's not even the worst one. Like, I'm not even mad about that one.
So what is it? Yeah, so Jerry Jeudy, Woody Johnson vetoed a trade for Jerry Jeudy because of his matting, his like speed, or one of the ratings was like an 86.
He was like a 78 or something like that.
Or something. And so he vetoed the trade that they had agreed to because of that.
I'm not really mad at that.
Yeah, I just think it's hilarious. Like, that's such a stupid reason.
It's a dumb reason, but
that's
also
the worst.
There are worse reasons, like what the Giants did with Saquon.
Yeah, that whole situation really sucks.
Yeah, but then the second thing, he goes in the locker rooms. He told Mike White he fucking sucks when he just played with broken ribs.
Mm-hmm. I remember that. I remember when he played. I obviously don't remember him saying that because we didn't know. But...
Well, it came out, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he gave a game ball to Garrett Wilson before they could give the game ball to their interim head coach after his first NFL win.
That was against Houston on Halloween, I believe. Yeah. It was when Garrett Wilson made that great catch.
No, yeah. And then, he's just... And apparently Joe Douglas was reporting to him.
Yeah, nuts.
Did you imagine?
Insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's just a game. It's like life to these guys and like their livelihood, and it's just like a game to this family.
Yeah.
I understand it is just a game, but like, man, there's a lot of work and effort, blood, sweat, and tears put into that game from your aunts, from your pawns. And
that's where we talked this, earlier in the year when we were talking about kind of the disappointments of the season, Bengals, Cowboys, stuff like that. And it you see this so much with owners like Panthers, David Tepper. Like you have when the owners are too involved in decisions, like this is where we see this stuff happening is because the owners don't live, eat, and breathe football. It is a business. It's their business. So they do get final say in a lot of this stuff because it is their money that's being used. But they don't eat, breathe, sleep football like some of these guys do. I mean, they do, but not to that extent. Like you hire a GM, you hire a head coach, like you need to let them do their jobs. You have to take a step back,
100%.
Let them build their vision, or else they're set up for failure. And I feel like that's what's happening.
You hired them for a reason. It's
Correct.
kind of like I got in a conversation with this. So I'm a member at a course in California, and it has gone to shit. Like it's like I'm about to pull my membership. Like they've let like all the practice facilities go. Like the greens are terrible. They've wasted a bunch of money on things that don't matter. And I go, this is why golf courses go downhill when non-golf guys come in and try to change stuff that they have no business they're not golfers. They're not high level. They don't know what they're just doing. They usually just do it for fun, or they bought the golf course just to say they did. Same with owners of NFL teams. They start doing things where they're like, I saw this on whatever, ESPN or Fox Sports 1 or whatever. And just leave it to the guys who have done it their whole life. You don't have to play, but leave it to like the coaches that have studied the game. Leave it to the ex-players who have been in and out of locker rooms in every organization. Like David Tepper, big example. And it looks like he's kind of taken a step back. The Jets, for another example. Jim Irsay has kind of been a weird owner as well as of late. And even like the Bears and Bengals. Like you can tell that there's dysfunction. And then also when you invest in something or when you buy something, you have to put money into it for it to get better. You can't just leave it. Like you don't buy a plant and be like, oh, that plant looks good, and never water it or never put it in the sun. It's gonna die. So if you don't invest in it, then like what are we even talking about?
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think that is one of the biggest issues with some of these teams is because if you're a GM or head coach, you can't say no, right? Because they're the guys writing checks, right? Yeah. You can't. You have to toe the line of, and that's why I think some of these guys like a Ben Johnson or some of these head coaches, like they want to go places where they think they'll set up to succeed.
It's good.
Yeah, which is great. Yeah, if you have that ability and capability, there's only 32 head coaching jobs in the NFL, right? So like there isn't a ton of them out there. If you have the ability to choose which one you want to go to because the structure's set up the way you want it to be, I think that's a win.
Yeah, it's like the Jets are only going to be able to get a head coach for a guy who's like not highly touted because he just like there's only 32 jobs. So
it's like the Bengals, Zach Taylor came out of fucking nowhere. Like no one wanted Zach Taylor, but he was like, I'm probably not going to get a job anywhere else, so we're going to go to the Bengals.
I don't think Zach Taylor's that bad of a coach.
No, I don't think he's that bad of a coach either. But he was not going to get a head coaching job that run. Yeah,
he would never get a coaching job at a place like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, or Philadelphia or anything like that.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So anyway, moral story: be better.
Yes, I like that. It's a good moral. Good sum up.
Yeah, just be better.
A couple of the other big storylines we'll just touch through them briefly. Chargers Broncos was a huge game for playoff impact. Chargers came out on top, so they're both sitting at 9-6. Ravens Steelers was the other big one from earlier in the week for the division. The Steelers could have locked up the division with the win against the Ravens, but Baltimore kind of ran away with it there at the end. That pick six by Russell Wilson was not the best decision in the world. I'm sure he wants that one back. I saw someone say that might have been the worst throw of his career, and then someone quote tweeted it like, "Did you forget the one in the Super Bowl on the 2-yard line against the Patriots?" type thing. So I saw
it. It's the worst Russell Wilson red zone possession, and then yeah.
So I thought that was hilarious. So that's huge because now Steelers. Chiefs on Christmas Day, which will be a fun game to watch. That'll be fun. Chiefs need to win to lock up the 1 seed. Steelers need to win for the division. And then you got Ravens, Texans. So on Christmas Day as well, those teams are just flipping from Saturday. So big implications this week on those games, which is kind of fun. It's kind of fun that those Christmas games mean something. It's weird that it's on a Wednesday. I'm curious how the Netflix thing goes because I think we've all kind of tried to live watch Netflix stuff. Was it the?
Yeah, I don't think they're getting 60 million viewers at once.
That's true. Yeah, they might though. Christmas Day, like everyone's home, no one's working. I'm curious how it goes. Well, I hope it's better.
At least they've been through it. They're not getting more than 60 million, I'll tell you that. So anything less, they'll be able to handle it. But I think it'll be fine. It's just, I also think that that's a little bit of they did that on purpose for people to freak out and to people to come back and see if it happens again.
Yeah, maybe.
People say that rage baiting is like the new thing. It's the same. Right, the same people that. Sorry, real quick. It's the same people who tweeted that's the worst Russell Wilson red zone thing. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah, that's fair. That I agree with. That's the shit that you're trying to get people to just comment and blow up your shit.
They knew exactly what they were doing.
For sure. And then even more people would probably try to turn it on when it wasn't working because they were like, "Oh, let's see if it works for me." And then everyone's trying to turn it on, and yeah.
Exactly. There you go. There you go, Brian.
So I think I did the same thing. I wasn't watching it, and I was like, "Oh, I wonder if it works for me." And I turned it on. It didn't work.
You're waking up.
And then the other big game, Vikings-Seahawks. Vikings did come out on top by 3. I thought they were going to win this game pretty handily. Seahawks played them tough. It was a big game for
Geno played well.
For the Vikings. Geno did play well. It was a big game for Vikings for 1 seed, and then Seahawks just to get into the playoffs. Seahawks are still alive, but huge game for the Vikings, considering the Eagles lost, and they still have to play Lions one more time. If they can beat that line, win, they can potentially lock up the 1 seed, which is kind of crazy. I don't think they've been lurking all season, but I don't think people put them on the caliber of the Lions and the Eagles for the last 4 or 5 weeks, even though they were winning. So it's that one will be interesting to see down the finish, and maybe the biggest game of all, Bengals beat the Browns 24 to 6.
The game was so ugly.
Playoffs, it was ugly. It was very ugly.
DTR sucks.
He's so bad. The Browns are tanking, which rightfully so they should. Myles Garrett wants to get traded too, which was another one of those crazy storylines.
Why wouldn't you?
He didn't say that. I'm saying that for him. I'm just reading between the lines of what he said. But Bengals keep their playoff hopes alive. They play Denver next week, which is a huge game. If they can win that and get some help, they have a shot to make the playoffs. So I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm going to.
Bengals got no help.
No, they didn't. No,
Colts
Dolphins.
and Dolphins. Yeah, they won.
Yep. They need one of those both those teams to lose once. They need to win out and have Denver lose out. Obviously, they play Denver, so they need Denver to lose the last week of the season. So, as a Bengals fan, I need the Steelers to beat Kansas City, so Kansas City has something to play for next week. So, it's probably my two of my 3 or 4 least favorite teams play each other: Steelers, Kansas City, and I have to cheer for the Steelers, which is just hard for me to do. So, it's a personal thing, but anyway, it's besides the point. So. It's a fun week, though. A lot on the line next week. I love this time of year, holidays. People are off work. You get to just sit down and watch the games and enjoy.
Yeah. You want to talk college football real quick?
Yeah, let's do a little college. Let's do a little college talk. We wanted to go through NFL pretty quickly just because we wanted to touch on college and then get to the best just because it is Christmas. So we don't want to make this episode too long. What did you think of the college games?
I said it on this podcast last week. Once these, lesser Power 4, I guess they're calling it now, teams play better teams, it's always a blowout. Like the Indiana game, it looks close. It wasn't.
It was not.
Penn State game, not close. Texas game, not close. Ohio State game, not close. I mean, this is going to be every year. There's not parity in college football. There might be in the national championship, but we saw that a few years ago when TCU played Georgia and they lost like 45-3.
Yep.
So it is the hype is fun. You never know what Big Ten or SEC school is going to win the national championship, but that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, and I do think we talked about it last week. I think there needs to be some adjustments to this just because I know it's the first year and this is how things go. Like it's going to take time to fully flesh out. But like personally, I think an 18 playoff makes the most sense. I know a lot of people were pushing for that above a 12
Agreed.
team. Just because like you don't, and if you want to take the conference winners and throw them in, great. Like if you're like Arizona State, Boise State,
it's gonna get to 16 in like 4 years.
No, you can't go higher. You can't go higher because this is what's going to happen. I know that's money, so they're not going to. Yeah,
there you go.
They're not gonna. I know they're not gonna go down to 8, but like I think this is why a lot of people were pushing for 8. Like it was fun. Like you said, the pipe was cool. It was fun. It's a Saturday, like around the holidays. People are off work, was hanging out with family, watching the games. But they all sucked. Like, I don't think I watched them all. We had them on, but at least my family where I was at on Saturday, we flipped to the NFL games and watched the NFL games over the college games just because like they weren't interesting to watch. And it does stink that the games were not very good, but not a huge fan. We'll see how it goes next year, but I think this is what we're going to see in the first round for a long time until they figure out what they want to do. And then here's the other problem I have. You basically punished Oregon for being the 1 seed and the best team in the country because now they get a Ohio State team in the second round, but then Penn State gets to go play they get to play Boise State, the 3 seed, and they're 10.5 point favorites on the road. It feels wrong. Maybe that, like we were talking about this weekend, maybe there needs to be reseeding after the first round.
There should be.
Whoever's the lowest seed left gets to go play Oregon.
But my thing is you're going to have to play them at some point, so who cares?
Yeah, which I guess that is still Ohio State. Ohio State would still be the lowest seed, so regardless if they reseeded or not, it would they would have played Oregon regardless. I guess that doesn't make sense.
They should re-rank them, then reseed.
Yeah, and like Texas getting to go play.
Just make it as Mickey Mouse as possible. Just keep re-ranking the teams.
Texas is a 14-point favorite on the road against Arizona State. One, huh? Sorry. What do you say? I just went right by
I'm saying, you know how every week there's like a re-ranking of college?
Yes.
Just re-rank them.
Yeah.
Bump up Ohio State seed.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it's going to be a weird product it's the first year, so let's give it a year or two.
Yeah,
maybe 3.
We got to give it some time, but I just think
you got to give it 3 years because by year 4 it's going to be 16 teams, and we all know that. And then we can put everyone in. Then hey, it might be top 64.
If they just extend it to February, if they just keep going,
and then 68, and then it's going to be the same as March Madness because it just keeps going up and up.
If they do 16, what they do? Would they do 2 first round buys?
Who cares?
I don't know. I just think there needs to be something. Like, if you're keeping it 12 teams, like Boise State, like they should get a home game for winning their conference, but just put the top 4 teams in the top 4 slots. I don't know.
You know what they honestly should do? This is how This is how they should do it, and it would never happen. Not do the 12-team playoff. Regular season, SEC championship, Big Ten championship, Big 12 championship, ACC. The Big Ten and SEC play each other for the national championship, and then the ACC and Big 12 champions play each other for whatever you want to call that. That's what it's going to be. And then if you want to have a championship game, make it the championship game. But that's like, there's too many teams. There's always going to be this weird undefeated one loss. Like they gave Oregon a game. Like Boise State gave Oregon a game like week 2. And that's probably the best thing on the resume is that they didn't lose by more than 10. So I don't know. It's going to be weird. I hope it's a good product, but there's too many teams and there's not enough talent, to go around. You can see that in the NFL. There's 8 good quarterbacks in the NFL. Like Kirk Cousins could start for 20 other teams right now.
Yeah.
He could start for 20 other teams right now.
Maybe pre-injury Kirk Cousins, but right now, I think a lot of people think he's cooked.
Same. We can't find.
Brock Purdy could start for 20 teams right now.
But Brock Purdy is starting for a team right now.
Kirk Cousins I'm just saying, like, he's someone that you could put on 20 teams that would be an improvement, but he's not really someone you would want to be, at least me, would want to be your franchise quarterback.
All right. That's real quick for fun. I'm going to read off teams. This is just for me. For Kirk Cousins. Giants.
Yes.
Bears.
Probably not.
Wow.
Just because Caleb was a rookie, I would not replace.
Right now. Not for the future. Right now.
I would still go Caleb Williams right now. I think Kirk Cousins sucks.
That's crazy. Caleb Williams is terrible. Okay. Saints.
Yeah.
Cowboys.
Yeah, well, Stack's out, yeah. Although Cooper Rush has been pretty
Raiders, good. Titans, Jags, Browns, Colts. Don't tell me you'd rather have Anthony Richardson.
No, I'm not an Anthony Richardson fan. So.
Dolphins.
I had Tua.
Tua stinks.
I don't disagree, but when Kirk Cousins can't move.
I'm not going to make the joke.
Yeah.
All right, maybe not 20, but he can start for a lot
10.
of them.
We'll round 10. Up to 10. Yes.
All right. But anyway, that's all I'm saying. There's not enough talent in the NFL. How can you expect there to be enough talent in the NCAA for this? And it's too spread out. That's all I'm saying.
I do think, and we'll get to this more once draft comes around, but I do think this year's going to be interesting with the quarterbacks. You have your 2, like Cam Ward is going to go like top 3.
I thought he was coming back.
No, I thought he was going in the draft.
Cam Ward is top.
Sanders is probably the top, but
staying.
Like he's not a top 10 player in the draft, but he'll go top 3.
No, I get that. Oh, he's going in the draft. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Why did I see something you were saying? Anyway.
But like him and Sanders will be probably pick 1 and 2 or somewhere in the top 3. And I don't know. We'll get into it later, but it's going to be interesting what happens with this class because you have like Quinn Ewers. Ewers might come back, and he was supposed to be a top 10, 15 picker. He might transfer. I don't know what he's going to do just because they got Manning waiting in the wings, and they have to give Manning a shot or else he'll leave. I'm sure at some point. Carson Beck, ass. He stinks, and he was supposed to be one of those guys coming in this year. Was going to be
he was like a top 10 guy.
Yeah, and he sucked this year. So it's just interesting how some of these quarterbacks are supposed to be good have kind of fallen also. But we'll get into that later into the years. But
while we're on college topic, let's
yeah. So that's what I was gonna say. So these are the lines. Like I'm on. This is ESPN bet because I'm on ESPN right now. But you have Penn State minus 10.5 as a road favorite against Boise. Texas is a 14-point favorite.
These are neutral sites.
Oh, are they? Are these neutral sites now? Oh, okay, never mind. I'm an idiot. Still 10.5-point favorites is still insane. So 10.5-point favorite against Boise. Texas is a 14-point favorite against Arizona State. SU 2.5-point favorite against Oregon, which is interesting. And Georgia 1.5. Yeah, true. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. And then Georgia 1.5-point favorite against Notre Dame. Yeah.
That makes sense. Georgia's kind of struggling. Notre Dame looks pretty good.
I agree, and they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
No, I guess they do. They don't have Beck.
But yeah, we don't know who's playing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think he's supposed to sit though. I think that was the latest is that he's not going to play.
I mean, Texas
just pick all 4.
Yeah, like do a parlay or what? What are we doing?
Yeah, do you want to do parlay?
Yeah.
Let's just take we can put them in a parlay, but these are who we would take if they were just individuals too.
Can I just read off who I'd take? Penn State covering 11, Texas covering 14, covering 2.5. And that's not because I hate Ohio State. That's because previous. And then,
that one's tough. Georgia Notre Dame's tough.
If Carson Beck doesn't play, Notre Dame covering.
I would take Notre Dame money line with it being at a 1.5. I would just go money line plus 100. I like that. The only one that I might do, and I know that Ohio State Oregon game early in the year was super high scoring. Like I can also see that being. I kind of like that 54.5 over and just staying away from that game because what was their game? It was 32-31 earlier this year.
Was it that high scoring?
Yeah, it was 63 or 64. Yeah. So like that's the only one for me. I think that one's gonna be a tough one to pick. I would probably lean over 54.5 in that game, especially Ohio State just putting up. What did they put up? 45 against Tennessee.
Yeah, but Tennessee looks so bad.
They do look terrible.
God.
They do look terrible. I do like Penn State -11 and Texas -14 though.
Why do I think this Oregon-Ohio State game wasn't that high scoring?
I don't know. It's 32-31.
I know. I just.
Did it go into overtime?
No.
It might have.
No.
No, it didn't.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool.
Okay. So we have Texas -14.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Who's the quarterback for Oregon?
Fuck, dude. I don't know. Do you know?
Yeah.
Who's it?
I'm not even looking at it. I swear. Dylan Gabriel.
I did know that. God damn it. This is the problem. This is the problem with me in college. Well,
All
Howard
right.
on the other side, though.
All right, let's make a parlay. What are we doing?
Yeah, okay.
You do know Will
right.
Howard. Thank God.
Yeah. Penn State -11, Texas -14, Notre Dame money line, and then over 54.5 for Ohio State, plus 13.28.
Okay.
But the Notre Dame one is one. Wait to see what happens with who's playing quarterback for.
Yeah, and if you feel, I like the 2.5 more than the over.
Yeah. Okay.
In that Oregon game, but yeah, that's cool. I like that. I like that. I've been seeing the field lately, so.
Yeah, you have. Mike's on the heater. He's on an absolute heater. So I'm gonna go with what. Yeah, you tell me then, because you are the one on the heater when it comes to parlays.
I'm just saying I like the 2.5. I don't like these high stake tight games. I understand it was a high stake tight game, but it was also an Oregon home game, and this is a more neutral site. And I know it's in California, but there's a lot of Ohio State fans in Los Angeles, and it's going to be 50-50. Plus, Ohio State fans travel.
Yes, they do. I know there's a big deal made about that. It is on yours.
All right, so NFL, read off the bullshit that happened last week.
Read off the shit. All right, so I went 2-1, bringing my record to 35-13. Cardinals -4.5, which I already talked about earlier, lost against the Panthers. Can no longer take the Panthers as the team that you bet against and you expect to win. Yeah.
Also, they're 8-point underdogs this week. That's insane.
I haven't looked at the spreads yet because it's Monday. I haven't looked at them yet, so these are gonna be going.
I'm looking at them now, but
Lions -6.5 was an easy win against the Bears. We didn't talk about this. I meant to bring it up. Do you see that fake fumble that the Lions ran against the Bears?
That's what won me my bet.
Was it? Is that the one that won you?
Laporta anytime touchdown.
Oh, was it? Yeah. So I did see someone saying, why waste that when you're up 14 against the Bears, which I thought was a good point. Because maybe it wouldn't work. You probably don't want to run that in you're not going to run that in a Packers game where it's tied to, in the playoffs or whatever.
Why wouldn't you?
All right. It's kind of hard. Or they're going to do something off of it. They're going to do something similar, run a different play.
Yep. Throw it to St. Brown.
Yep. Rams -3.5. Also won. Jets stink. And that's why I took that bet.
Easy, dude.
Right.
Easy.
Mike had Vikings -3, which was technically a push. I know he took it once he got to Cincinnati at 2.5, so he won his bet. But when we did it on the pod, it was -3. So that one's kind of
brutal.
If you would have taken it later, it would have been 2.5 and probably would have been a win. And then Eagles -3.5. We talked that one.
I'm going to send that to the offices for an appeal.
For review of the record, asterisk on the record. And then Eagles -3.5. Still almost should have probably covered, but Hurts injury and then the collapse at the end of the game there with the drop from Devonta Smith. That was tough. And then Bucks -4. We talked this briefly. Buccaneers in a must-win game. Cooper Rush beat them, which is
slinging it.
Dude, Cooper, they're 4-1 with him as a starter. Only lost to the Bengals. Just throwing it out there.
That's crazy. Eliminated from the playoffs.
He's like 9-2 as a starter in his career.
Well, that one year he started 5-1, and they're like,
yeah, it's nuts.
You're gonna bring Dak back, and they're like, yeah.
It was like 3 years ago or 2 years ago. All right, so
back on top, Brian. Yes, sir.
I go first. Yeah, and your record now with that draw is 24-20-2, so you're still in the positives, which is
fucking twos, man. Just ties.
Yeah, I guess, which is weird that I do not have a single one. I'm surprised we don't have more, just because I mean, we avoid a lot. I think we both try to avoid like the threes as much as we can, or like the sevens. But all right, so we're doing this Monday, so these spreads will probably change pretty significantly by the time it rolls around. All right, so can we not take Christmas games?
Off limits.
Okay, Thursday game off limits.
This is going to come out tonight, so you can take Thursday if you want.
Okay, Thursday or Sunday. Okay.
And Saturday.
Let's see. And Saturday. Yeah, there are 3 Saturday games this week. God, the Bills are 9.5-point favorites against the Jets. Man, there's a couple good games. Packers-Vikings is a good game this week, man. And there's some really bad games. Titans, Jaguars, Raiders, Saints. Yikes. I do not like any of these. These all suck.
You want to pass?
Am I up?
What is this? The 16th fucking episode we've done? What was your record last week?
2-1.
All right.
I'm gonna take Lions minus 3.5 against 40.
I like that. That's a good
one.
Yeah,
that one. I said that as I said. There's no good bets this week, so I'm gonna take Lions minus 3.5. It's in San Fran, but San Fran's packing it in. Brock Purdy looks terrible. So many injuries. I think they're just gonna kind of tank the season. They're out of playoff contention, so I can see them laying down a little bit. So that's minus 105.
Yeah. I'm gonna take the Chargers minus 5 at the Pets.
I like that one. That was the other one I was looking at. So Chargers minus 5. What's the odds on that right now?
Minus 110.
All right. Do you not like that? That throw clear? Let's see.
It's aggressive.
It was aggressive. Man, these are tough. I can take the Thursday game. Give me Seahawks minus 3.5 against the Bears in Chicago.
I think the Bears are the team to bet against right now. They're so bad.
Yeah, and the Seahawks need to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Bears are obviously the Bears, so I just don't see them much fight. The only thing that does stink is it is a road traveling game for the Seahawks on Thursday, but I think everyone's going to be out of whack this week just because of the holidays and stuff. So I don't see it as that big of a difference. All right.
Yeah. All right. Give me the Rams minus 6 against the Cardinals minus 112.
You think Cardinals tank it?
No, I don't think they tank. I just think they stink, and I think the Rams need to. I know they beat the Jets, but their offense has kind of been weird, and I think this is a good get back. We're at home kind of game.
I want to take some with the Bengals, but I just can't. 50's a lot for the over. Denver has a good defense. Bengals defense stinks.
Take the under.
Enough.
Take the under, Brian.
Please. I do like the Ravens, but that's on Wednesday.
I like the Ravens too.
Yeah, the Ravens minus 4. Panthers are 8-point favorites underdogs against the Buccaneers.
Said that 10 minutes ago.
You did. Give me Vikings minus. I want to bet on this game. Give me Vikings minus 1.5 at home against Green Bay to essentially remove Green Bay from.
When Brian dies, he's gonna be put on his tombstone. I want to bet on this game. That's every game, Brian.
I like. That's minus 108. Vikings minus 1.5.
Yeah, you know me. I'm a low-key Packers fan this year, so.
Yes, you are. Yeah.
All right.
You can take the opposite. You can take the Packers plus 1.5.
I'm staying away from that game.
Yeah, I understand why you'd stay away from that game.
Yeah.
Vikings
look good, dude.
They do.
They're sleeper. You didn't want to take Tennessee Jags again?
No. Is that the one I took? Yeah. God, I'm never touching that again. I like that one and the Colts. What was it? The Colts Giants.
Yeah, that's brutal. All right, give me the Bengals to cover 3. First time this year.
Taking the
Bengals.
What's your reasoning?
This is for you, Brian. Merry Christmas. That's my reasoning.
Thanks. I don't know if it's good or bad, but
only reason I'm taking them is because they're at home. Only reason why.
Yeah. If it was that's one. If it was 2.5, I'd probably take. I'm sure I bet you it swings by the end of the week. It swings to 2.5 or 2. I think there'll be some money on the Broncos coming in late. Although Vegas loves the Bengals just because of the offense, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. So we'll see what happens. But if it gets to 2.5 or 2, I would just take Bengals money.
So how about we do this? Let's do.
You want to put them in our parlay?
Let's put them in our parlay.
Let's do.
I think we should do 2.5.
Okay, we'll do Bengals minus 2.5, which it's not showing yet. It's too early to put them in, but
can we put Seahawks minus 5?
We can do Seattle minus 5. No, we can't, but we will. Can you put them in? Mine's not letting me.
Let me see.
I think it's too early still. But that one's surprising because that's a Thursday game, so I'm surprised that one isn't in yet. All right, so we're going to do Bengals minus 2.5, Seattle minus 5. One more. Oh, the other one that I liked that I almost did, and I'm curious your thoughts, is Giants Colts over 40.5.
I'm not going anywhere near that.
Okay, Colts put up 38 this week on their own. That's what, like, they have scored a good amount of points.
Actually, yeah, that one's 40.5.
40.5, and they gave up 30 against the Titans. It's in New York. They gave up 30 to the Titans. They won 38-30.
I'll need to know what the weather's like.
Yeah, it's fair.
If it's decent weather, then I'm in. But like they were in a dome, you know.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see.
It's not letting me do it, by the way.
Yeah, I think we're just too early.
Yeah.
Let's see. What's the weather?
Fine.
Next Sunday, the 29th, 53 degrees and rainy.
I like the heat.
Okay.
Throw it in.
You like it?
Yeah.
All right, and then we'll do over 40.5. We could even tease that to like 39 if we wanted to, or 39.5.
Yeah. Well, since we're putting the Seahawks up to 5, just do 40.
That's right. Yeah, we'll just do 40. Over 40 Colts. I saw that one after I kind of gave out all my picks. I was like, I kind of want to take that one, so I wanted to throw that in our parlay.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right.
Touch it.
Do you want to do any times? I know. Do they even have any up yet?
No, probably not.
No, they only have the games for Wednesday and Thursday up.
That's fine. We'll just do the team one.
Yeah, we can.
We'll post.
Still
we'll
do
post
one.
on.
Yeah, we can.
Hey, we'll post on Twitter.
Yep.
What our parlay is. So follow us at Athlete. You know, we should start doing that more often. Follow us at Athlete Pod on Twitter /X, Traveling Athlete Pod on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And Brian, Merry Christmas, buddy.
Merry Christmas. And one last thing, you need to start posting some of your bets on Twitter because you have been a little bit of a heater. So you had a nice win this past weekend that I didn't know about, that I would have loved to have placed as well. So
I'll start placing some of my bets on Twitter. So Brian and others.
Couldn't see them. That came through and I was pumped for you, but I was like, damn.
My bad. I'm gatekeeping.
Yes, you are gatekeeping, you jackass.
Well, that's a perfect way to end the pod. So, Brian.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, man.
Merry Christmas.
All right. See ya.